I will never marry you, she yelled. He smiled and whispered, I'll only marry you. Red Hollow was a small, dusty town where everyone knew each other. The streets were quiet most days, and life moved slowly under the hot sun. People woke up early, worked hard, and rested when the sky turned orange in the evening. In this town lived Clara Whitmore. Clara was not like the other girls. She did not dream about fancy dresses or big weddings. She did not sit around talking about love. Instead, she worked at her father's ranch, rode horses, and spoke her mind without fear. People in town often said, Clara is too stubborn. But Clara didn't care what people said. She believed one thing very strongly. She did not need anyone, especially not a cowboy. Cowboys came and went. They told stories, made promises, and then disappeared. Clara had seen it happen many times, so she made a rule for herself. Never trust a cowboy, and never fall for one. One warm afternoon, everything changed. A stranger rode into town. His name was Ryder Hayes. He wasn't loud or showy like other cowboys. He didn't talk much, but there was something calm about him. He rode slowly, looking around as if he was studying the town. People noticed him right away. Who is he? Someone whispered. Just another cowboy, another replied. But Clara noticed him too, and she didn't like it. She was standing outside the general store when Ryder walked in. He greeted the shopkeeper politely and bought a few simple things. When he stepped outside, his eyes met Clara's. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Clara crossed her arms. You're new here, Ryder nodded. Just passing through. Clara gave a small, unimpressed look. That's what they all say. Ryder didn't argue. He simply smiled. That smile annoyed her. You cowboys think you're special, Clara said, riding into town like you own the place. I don't think that, Ryder replied calmly. I just go where I'm needed. Clara shook her head. No one needs you here. People nearby started watching. They knew Clara's temper, but Ryder stayed relaxed. Maybe not, he said, but I'll stay for a while anyway. That was enough to make Clara angry. She stepped closer, her voice louder now. Listen carefully. I don't like cowboys. I don't trust them, and I will never marry one. The street became silent. Everyone was waiting to see what Ryder would say. But instead of getting upset, Ryder leaned slightly closer and spoke in a quiet voice. I'll only marry you. Clara blinked in surprise. For a second, she didn't know what to say. Then she rolled her eyes and turned away. You're ridiculous. She walked off without looking back. But something about that moment stayed in her mind. Days passed, but Ryder didn't leave. That was strange. Most cowboys stayed for a day or two and then moved on. But Ryder stayed. He didn't cause trouble. He didn't brag. He simply helped where he could. He fixed broken fences. He helped an old man carry supplies. He even worked at Clara's father's ranch for a day. Clara didn't like seeing him there. Why is he here? She asked her father. He offered help, her father replied. And we needed it. He's a cowboy, Clara said. They never stay. Her father smiled gently. Not everyone is the same, Clara. But Clara didn't believe that. Still, she couldn't ignore what she saw. Ryder worked hard. He didn't complain. He didn't try to impress anyone. He just did his job and stayed quiet. One evening, Clara watched him from a distance as he repaired a broken gate. Why is he doing that? She muttered. He said it needed fixing, her father answered. He's not even getting paid properly. Her father shrugged. Maybe he's not doing it for money. That confused Clara. Why would anyone work without expecting something in return? She didn't understand it. A few days later, the sky suddenly turned dark. A strong wind began to blow across the land. Dust filled the air, and the animals at the ranch became restless. Clara tried to control everything on her own. Stay calm, she shouted, running after a group of frightened horses. But it was too much for one person. Just then, Ryder appeared. Without saying anything, he moved quickly and helped guide the animals back. He stayed calm, and slowly, everything settled down. After the storm passed, Clara stood there, tired and quiet. Ryder walked over. You handled it well, he said. Clara looked at him. You didn't have to help. I know, he replied. There was no pride in his voice, no expectation, just simple honesty. For the first time, Clara didn't argue. She just stood there, thinking. Maybe, just maybe. He wasn't like the others, but she quickly pushed that thought away. No, she told herself. He's still a cowboy. And Clara Whitmore had made her decision long ago. Or at least, that's what she believed. Days turned into weeks, but Ryder Hayes still did not leave Red Hollow. This surprised everyone. People in town had started to talk about him. "He's different," one man said. "Too quiet," another replied. "Or maybe just decent," an old woman added with a smile. Clara tried not to listen, but she heard everything. And what bothered her the most was this. Ryder was not acting like the cowboys she knew. He did not flirt with women. He did not brag about his past. He did not try to impress anyone. Instead, he worked. Every morning, he woke up early and helped around the ranch. He fixed broken fences, cleaned the barn, and took care of the horses. Sometimes, he helped people in town without even being asked. Clara noticed all of it, but she refused to admit it. One morning, she found him repairing a fence near the edge of the ranch. "You missed a spot," she said, standing behind him. Ryder looked up and checked. "You're right." He fixed it without arguing. Clara frowned. She expected him to defend himself or make an excuse, but he didn't. "You don't talk much," she said. "Only when needed," he replied. "That must be easy for you." "It is," he said simply. Clara crossed her arms. "Most cowboys like to hear themselves talk. I'm not most cowboys." His answer was calm, but it stayed in her mind long after she walked away. That afternoon, Clara sat with her father outside their house. The sun was warm and the wind was gentle. Her father looked at her and said, "You think too much about that boy." "I don't think about him," Clara replied quickly. Her father smiled. "Then why are you watching him every day?" Clara stayed silent. She didn't have a good answer. After a moment, she said, "He's hiding something." "Or maybe," her father said, "he's just being himself." Clara shook her head. "No one is that simple." Her father didn't argue, but his words made her uneasy. A few days later, something unexpected happened. A group of travelers arrived in Red Hollow. Their wagon had broken down, and they looked tired and worried. Clara was passing by when she saw them. Before she could even think, Ryder was already there. He helped fix the wagon wheel. He gave them water and made sure their horses were rested. He didn't ask for money or thanks. The travelers were grateful. "Thank you, sir," one of them said. Ryder just nodded. "Safe travels." Clara watched from a distance. She didn't understand. Why would someone do so much for strangers? That evening, she found him sitting near the well. "Why do you do that?" she asked. Ryder looked up. "Do what?" "Help people who don't even know you." He thought for a moment. "Because they need help." "That's it?" Clara asked. "That's enough." Clara sat down nearby, still confused. "You expect nothing in return?" Ryder shook his head. "Not everything needs a reward." Clara looked away. She had spent her whole life believing that people always wanted something, that nothing was done without a reason, but Ryder was proving her wrong, and she didn't like that feeling. The next week, Clara tried to avoid him, but it wasn't easy. Ryder was everywhere, at the barn, in the fields, around the town, and every time she saw him, he was doing something useful. One day, Clara was trying to calm a young horse. The animal was nervous and kept moving around. "Stay still," she said, trying to hold the reins. But the horse refused to listen. Suddenly, Ryder stepped closer. "May I?" he asked. Clara hesitated, then nodded. Ryder moved slowly, speaking softly to the horse. Within moments, the animal became calm. Clara watched in surprise. "How did you do that?" she asked. "Patience," Ryder replied. "I was being patient." He smiled slightly. "Not enough." Clara narrowed her eyes. "Are you saying I'm impatient?" "I'm saying you want things to happen quickly. And you don't?" Ryder shook his head. "Some things take time." Clara didn't respond, but his words stayed with her. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about everything. About Ryder. About his actions. About his calm nature. He wasn't trying to win her over. He wasn't trying to prove anything. He was just being himself. And that confused her more than anything else. "Why hasn't he left?" she whispered to herself. Every cowboy leaves, she thought. But Ryder didn't. And deep inside, Clara began to wonder something she never expected. What if he wasn't like the others? What if he was different? She quickly shook her head. "No," she said softly. "He's still a cowboy." But this time, her voice wasn't as confident as before. Because for the first time in her life, Clara Whitmore was starting to question her own beliefs. And she didn't know what to do with that feeling. Clara Whitmore was no longer as sure of herself as she used to be. Before Ryder came to Red Hollow, everything in her life was simple. She believed cowboys could not be trusted. She believed people always left. She believed she was better off alone, but now, things felt different, and she didn't like feeling unsure. One quiet evening, the sky was painted in soft orange and pink colors. The town was calm, and the wind moved slowly across the land. Clara walked toward the edge of the ranch. She saw Ryder standing there, looking at the horizon. He looked peaceful. For a moment, she just watched him. Then she spoke. "Why are you always so calm?" Ryder turned slightly, noticing her. "I'm not always calm." "You look like it," Clara said. He smiled faintly. "Looks can be wrong." Clara stepped closer. She didn't cross her arms this time. "That's what I've been thinking," she said quietly. "About you." Ryder didn't interrupt. Clara took a deep breath. "You don't act like other cowboys. You don't talk like them. You don't leave like them." Ryder looked back at the horizon. "Maybe I'm just tired of running." Clara frowned. "Running from what?" He didn't answer right away. That made her more curious. "You always avoid questions like that," she said. "Some answers take time," he replied. Clara sighed. "You and your patience again." Ryder looked at her. "You don't like waiting." "I don't like uncertainty," she corrected. There was a short silence between them. Then Clara finally asked the question that had been in her mind for days. "Why me?" Ryder didn't look surprised. "Why do you keep saying you'll only marry me?" she continued. "You don't even know me properly, and I've made it very clear I don't want that." Ryder thought for a moment. Then he answered slowly. "Because you're honest." Clara blinked. "That's your reason?" "You say what you feel, even if it's harsh, even if people don't like it." "That's not always a good thing," she said. "It is," Ryder replied. "At least it's real." Clara looked away. No one had ever said that to her before. People usually told her she was too rude, too strong, too difficult. But Ryder saw it differently. "And that's enough for you?" Clara asked after a moment. "No," Ryder said. "There's more." Clara waited. "You don't depend on anyone," he continued. "You stand on your own. That's not easy." Clara's voice softened slightly. "I had to learn that." "I can see that," Ryder said. She looked at him again. "Then why would you want someone like that? Most men want someone who listens to them, who agrees with them." Ryder smiled gently. "I don't want that." "Then what do you want?" "I want someone who chooses me," he said. "Not someone who needs me." Clara felt something shift inside her. His words were simple, but they carried weight. For the first time, she didn't feel like he was trying to change her. He wasn't asking her to be softer, or quieter, or different. He was accepting her exactly as she was. And that made her uncomfortable. "Still," Clara said, trying to hold on to her old beliefs, "you don't know everything about me." "I don't need to," Ryder replied. "That makes no sense." "It does," he said calmly. "You learn about someone over time, not all at once." Clara shook her head. "You're too sure about this." Ryder looked at her carefully. "And you're too afraid of it." Clara froze. "I'm not afraid," she said quickly. Ryder didn't argue, but his silence said everything. That night, Clara sat alone outside her house. The stars filled the sky and everything was quiet. But her mind was not. She kept thinking about Ryder's words. "You're too afraid of it." Was she afraid? She had always believed she was strong, that she didn't need anyone. But now she wondered, was pushing people away really strength? Or was it something else? She remembered all the times people had left, all the broken promises she had seen. She had built a wall around herself, and it had kept her safe. But now, for the first time, someone was standing outside that wall, not trying to break it, just waiting for her to open it. The next day, Clara found Ryder again. He was fixing a saddle near the barn. She walked up to him slowly. "You said something yesterday," she began. Ryder looked up. "I say a lot of things." Clara almost smiled. "You said I'm afraid." Ryder stayed quiet. Clara took a breath. "Maybe I am." This was not easy for her. "I've seen people leave," she continued. "I've seen promises break. So I decided I don't need anyone." Ryder listened carefully. "That way," Clara said, "I don't get hurt." Ryder stood up. "That makes sense," he said. Clara looked surprised. "You're not going to argue?" "No," he replied. "You're not wrong." She looked down. "Then why does it feel like I am?" Ryder stepped a little closer. "Because you're not giving yourself a chance," he said gently. Clara looked at him, her expression uncertain. For what? She asked. For something real. Clara didn't have an answer. For the first time in her life, she didn't know what to believe. Her old thoughts told her to stay strong and alone. But something new, something quiet inside her, was telling her to stop running. And that scared her more than anything. Because this time, it wasn't about Ryder anymore. It was about her, and the choice she had to make. The days after that conversation felt different. Clara Whitmore tried to continue her normal routine, waking early, working at the ranch, speaking firmly, staying strong. But something had changed inside her. She could not ignore it anymore. Every time she saw Ryder Hayes, her thoughts became quiet, not confused, just thoughtful. And that was new for her. Ryder, on the other hand, remained the same. Calm, patient, steady. He did not push her. He did not repeat his words. He did not try to convince her. He simply treated her the same way as before. And somehow, that mattered more than anything. One morning, Clara noticed something unusual. Ryder was packing his things. His saddle was ready. His bag was tied. His horse stood calmly beside him. Clara stopped walking. A strange feeling filled her chest. "You're leaving?" she asked. Ryder looked at her. "For now." "For now?" she repeated. He nodded. "I've stayed longer than I planned." Clara didn't know what to say. This was what she had always expected. Cowboys come, and then they go. So why did it feel different now? "You didn't say anything," Clara said after a moment. Ryder gave a small smile. "You never asked." Clara frowned slightly. "That's not fair." "Neither is staying where you're not wanted," he replied gently. Clara looked at him quickly. "I never said you weren't wanted." Ryder didn't answer, but his silence made her realize something important. She had never told him to stay either. The wind moved softly around them. The town felt quiet again, like it did before he arrived. Clara suddenly didn't like that feeling. "You said something once," she said slowly. Ryder waited. "You said you would only marry me." Ryder nodded. "I remember." Clara took a deep breath. "Did you mean it?" "Yes," he said without hesitation. That answer made her heart beat faster. "Then why are you leaving?" she asked. Ryder looked at her carefully. "Because I don't force things," he said, "and I don't stay where I'm not chosen." Clara felt those words deeply. Chosen. No one had ever used that word with her before. Most people expected things from her, or tried to control her. But Ryder was different. He wasn't asking her to need him. He was waiting for her to choose him. Clara looked down at the ground. Her thoughts were racing. All her life she had believed that staying alone made her strong. But now she understood something new. Being strong didn't mean pushing everyone away. Sometimes it meant allowing someone to stay. "I'm not ready," Clara said quietly. Ryder didn't move. "I know. I don't understand everything yet." "That's okay. I'm still unsure about marriage." Ryder nodded. "That's your choice." Clara looked up at him. There was no pressure in his eyes, no expectation, just calm understanding. "But I am sure about one thing," Clara continued. Ryder waited. Clara stepped closer. "I don't want you to leave." The words came out softly, but clearly. For the first time, Clara Whitmore was not speaking with anger. She was speaking with honesty. Ryder looked at her for a moment. Then he smiled. Not the same calm smile as before. This one was warmer. Real. "That's all I needed to hear," he said. Clara felt something lift inside her. It wasn't fear anymore. It wasn't doubt. It was relief. For the first time, she had not pushed someone away. She had made a choice, her own choice, her own. Ryder untied his bag from the saddle and set it down. "I can stay a little longer," he said. Clara almost smiled. "Just a little?" "We'll see," he replied. Days passed again, but this time, everything felt lighter. Clara still worked hard. She still spoke her mind. But now, she didn't feel alone. Ryder didn't try to change her. He worked beside her, not in front of her. He listened, not controlled. And slowly, Clara began to understand something important. Love wasn't about losing yourself. It was about finding someone who respected who you already were. One evening, Clara stood beside Ryder, watching the sunset. The sky looked just like it did the first day they spoke. "Do you still believe I'll marry you?" she asked. Ryder smiled. "Only if you choose it." Clara looked at him. This time, she didn't roll her eyes. She didn't walk away. She just stood there, thinking, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But for the first time in her life, Clara Whitmore did not say, never, and that meant everything.